the ram, the crab, Libra, and
Sagittarius. Okay.
Capri in Latin is Capri and also Capra. Capra.
So
And-
Ra is in all four words.
Exactly. You've picked it up. You see, it's so good when you've got a good audience. I've got 100% good audience because you see, people are not looking for these things.
No.
We're not looking for the truth. It's hiding in plain sight. What you're going to see today is it's going to bother you that it's been there and nobody knows about it. So what you can see is Ra, 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 and Ra, and in fact the Spanish say Cabra with a B. That's going to be an interesting for me to have done that. You'll see how interesting that is in a minute. But I was telling you about Ra before, and you see, what this wheel represents is the yearly cycle, but it also represents the daily cycle. So, what we do is you put 6 a.m. over here, 12 p.m. over here, midday, 12 a.m. So it's easy, because the Earth orbits and it rotates. What the ancients knew was that the head, the human being is wrapped around here, and everything starts over here, and the head is actually here of the human being, and the neck is here. And this is the ram, Aries, and here is Taurus. And this is basically the cerebrum, and this is the cerebellum. And L is the bull, and that's cerebellum. Bell is the bull, and you see all these bell words in the Bible, like angel, chapel, bell, even the bell in the altar in the church, or the chapel, everything with a Bible, gospel, all these L words. Okay, that's because of what's going on here.
Yes.
And that's now the reason I've done all this is just to go back to the subject we were talking about, which is Ra. Everything's about Ra. You are Ra, I am Ra, because you are a sorry, I'm a bit dyslexic. I always do this. I don't know why I do it. Anyway, Ra, so you are a ray of light. You see, this is why we pray to Ra. And Ra is the ram. You see, because the letter R is Resh, which means head. So it's the head of everything, it's the start. But the A is feminine. It equals Aleph in Hebrew, which is the ox, or the cow. Better to say the cow. So when you see the word Ra, you're seeing the ram, the Resh, the head, because that's the head. The top of the head is always the top of the head, is differentiated from the bottom of the head. So you've got Ra and Aleph, the ram and the bull. And this is why you get words like ramble or double, because this is one and this is two, 3, 4, 5, etc. But double is the two bulls. And ramble, because these are the two leading signs of the body. They direct the rest of the body. The feet are touching here. The 2 feet of Pisces, the feet are here. 1, 2. And so the rest of the body goes down this way, you see? Here's Gemini, here is Cancer, here is Leo, Virgo, there is Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Now, this wheel is the law of God. The law of God is the Torah. And notice Ra again. Okay? And the Torah is the tarot. And that is an anagram for rota. Rota. And this is the rota that you rotate. Rota is wheel. And wheel is the will of God. So from the law of God is the 5 books of the Bible called the Torah, the Pentateuch. Torah, tarot, rota, wheel, will of God. This is the will of God that we have forgotten. You see, and you will notice, as you pointed out, when you were watching this, you saw it. Because you need to have a good, vast grounding in many fields of knowledge. You know, unfortunately, in this world, they specialise you, compartmentalise you. You know, you're a specialist in something, you know, and you know nothing about anything else. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been doing it. It's called the dumbing down of society.
Yeah. I've tackled it in my presentations and radio shows and everything of this subject. Ra the ram, Ra the crab, and also this comes from scarab. The scarab was the animal in Egypt that depicted astrology the best. That's why they loved the scarab so much, because this is the scarab, this wheel. And then you've got Libra. That's, you can see the word Ibrahim, Abram, Ibrahim, Ra, Cabra. Now I've done this in other presentations, so I'm not going to go deeply in this, but what you see is, you see these lines, these are rays. Ray, you've got radius, you've got ramify, you've got radiate, radial.
So I'll share with you for a second. You mentioned just before that you have a number of good books on your shelf. If you look in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, just the introduction, it explains, Krishna says, I told this information to the sun god 120 million years ago. But over time, this information has been lost. So now I'm telling you, Arjuna, what I told the sun then. And what the sun god's name in Sanskrit is Surya Narayan. So you have the word Ra and Ray in both words, Surya and Narayan, which is Vishnu.
Yeah.
So when you say that that's actually what God is speaking, I understand God to be Vishnu, and in particular, a name Krishna.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that it is connected.
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Krishna also says that my right eye is the sun of the solar system.
Yeah.
And then the moon is my left eye.
Yeah. The sun rules the right eye. You get words like radian.
Yes.
Radiation. Now, why is that? Well, because everything comes from the head, which is here, Resh. Ra. Radiating out, because the year begins here. See, this is Aries, the lamb. When the sun comes up into Aries on Nisan 14, Always, everything happens in Aries. This is where they celebrate the Passover of the sun passing over from the winter into the summer, and they celebrate that, called the Passover. So this is the significance of this head is so important, and that's where we get all our names with the Ra. You see, in India, what does Ravi mean? It means the sun. Ra. It's always the sun, because the sun exalts in Aries in astrology. That's the sign of the exaltation, and it's the resurrection of the sun too. On Nisan 17, Jesus resurrects. That's the sun. Everything happens on Nisan 17. Noah's Ark lands on Mount Ararat.